If you have an active lifestyle like me, maybe you run, you walk, you hike, or you're just on your feet all day for your job or your daily life, you probably get tired and achy feet, and you probably get tired and achy legs. Well, today I want to review 3 products from Chirp that can help with that: the RPM rolling percussion massager and 2 of their foot massage wheels. Hi, I'm Ralph, and welcome to Ageless Runner. Before we dive into the reviews, let me mention who Chirp is, because maybe you've never heard of them. But they were founded in 2015 with the idea of making well-designed, well-engineered, easy-to-use products to help with body relief, muscle relief, aches and pains. And as an engineer, an engineering background, I find their products very well-designed, very easy to use, and very robust. And they certainly have met that objective. And I reviewed several of their products, and I'll put a link down below if you'd like to see some of their other products in action. But let's dive into the reviews. Now imagine if a massage gun and a foam roller got together and had a kid. You know what that would be? It would be the RPM rolling percussion massager. So you can see as you look at it, it's got a form factor a lot like a foam roller, except it's got handles on it, and also it spins. And it's a battery-operated device that rolls around and impacts your muscles with a mild percussive action. It's got these 8 free-spinning rollers on it, and these rollers have peaks and valleys. And each of these peaks I'll call a node, and there are 44 of these nodes. So as it rotates around, it kind of provides this percussive impact to your body. So it kind of vibrates and massages your muscles as it moves over your muscle. So it helps increase blood flow, helps reduce fatigue and tiredness, helps work out knots, and just helps speed up your recovery in general. So it works great, especially on your lower body. It works great on your quads, your hamstrings, your calves, and even on your feet. And we'll talk about how to do your feet in a minute when we talk about the cradle. It's really not something, because it's kind of heavy, it's 3 pounds, 13 ounces, just under 4 pounds. It's not something you're going to use one-handed. So it's not really, you're not really going to use it very well on your shoulder, and you certainly don't want to use it above your shoulder. You don't want to use it on your head or your neck. You'll probably use it on your chest, but it works really great on your lower body, as I said, your calves, your hamstrings, your quads, and so forth. So this thing is pretty easy to use. There's only 3 switches. The first switch is the on-off switch on top. I press the on-off switch, and you'll see a light comes on, and that means it's on the first speed. There are actually 5 speeds on here. Every time I press that on-off button, it changes to a different speed. But you notice it's not spinning, because on the bottom side is a trigger switch here. You have to hold that trigger switch to get it to spin. Now that's a safety factor. In other words, this thing has to be either in your hands under control or in the cradle. And again, we'll talk about the cradle in a minute. And again, that's for safety. So it's not spinning unless you have it under control. So those are the first 2 switches. The third switch that's on here is, in my mind, is kind of unnecessary. It's a switch to reverse direction. Now as I hold this and spin it, the top of this is moving towards you, towards the camera. And if I'm in reverse direction, I could slide the switch, or I could just turn it around. If I turn it around, now the top is spinning towards me. So that's why I said, as an engineer, that switch is kind of unnecessary. It adds cost, adds complexity. So why is it there? I'm guessing there's some kind of a marketing reason. Now, one reason I think it could be there is having that reversing switch always allows you to keep the trigger switch in your dominant hand. So I'm holding this in my right hand because I'm right hand dominant, but I want to reverse direction. I can just slide the switch and still keep it in my dominant hand. However, that trigger switch is very easy to press. It takes almost no force to depress it. So I could very easily do it in my left hand. That's not an issue. I don't feel like that's cumbersome. So I'm not sure why the switch is there, other than to give someone the illusion that they have more control of it, or again, to keep that switch in their dominant hand. So as I said, it generally takes 2 hands to use it. It's of such a weight, and it is moving, that you want to use 2 hands unless you use it in the cradle. This thing comes with a cradle. And the cradle serves 2 purposes. One is for storage. You can actually leave it in the cradle and store it wherever you want to store it. But if you put it in the cradle with the trigger switch down, and it's turned on, the trigger switch is down, it will start spinning. So now you can do hands-free massaging. And this is how you want to do your feet. Man, this thing feels really good on my feet, because I get heel pain sometimes, always trying to ward off plantar fasciitis. So if you put this in the cradle, it'll start spinning. You can put your foot on it, apply whatever pressure you want, and get a nice foot massage. Of course, in the cradle, you could also, sit on the floor, massage your calves, your hamstrings, anything you want to do, you can do hands-free. So it does allow that foot massage, rotating foot percussion massage with the RPM rolling percussion massager. Now this thing it does have a stall force of 60 pounds, which means you put more than 60 pounds on it, it's going to stall. Which is why you could probably put it in the cradle and do your glutes, your butt muscles, but you can't sit on it too hard. You sit on it too much, you're going to stall it out. But again, that's there for a safety reason. You don't want to get hurt. So what comes with it? Of course, you get the massager, you get the cradle, but you also get a charger. It is battery operated. It comes with a charger, and you also get this little instruction pamphlet. Again, it's pretty easy to use. There's some guidelines on there, and there's also guidelines on the website. But the more important sheet in here is this page called warnings. Okay, as you might imagine, there's just some common, most of them I think are common sense. For example, they don't want you using it really above your shoulders. Don't use it on your head or your neck. Don't use it near water. Keep little children away from it. Now, as I said, these rollers, it'd be really hard for an adult to get their fingers between the rollers, but a young child might. I don't know. I don't have any young children around me anymore. But you want to keep away from young children. I suppose it's possible if you have something like long flowing hair, it might get caught in there. So if you get it, please read through the warnings. Most of them are common sense, although one of them is kind of surprising. So one of them, a little bit surprising, says, do not use the RPM near your genitals. Now, to me, that's common sense. There's no way I put this by my genitals. But somebody, sometime, somewhere did something, and that's why that's in there. But most of the warnings are common sense, so make sure you read through those warnings if you get one of these. If you're interested in this product, before we move on to the foot rollers, I will tell you down in the description, there is a link to the Chirp website. And I appreciate if you'd use that link. If you use that link, I get a small commission from the sale. And use that commission to help fund things to do with running and my running channel. But as my thanks for using that link, I do have a coupon code you can use, Ageless Runner, that will get you 10% off. Now on the RPM webpage, there's a little note there that says discount codes do not work here. However, I tried the Ageless Runner discount code. In other words, I put one of the RPMs in my cart, use the code, and the code works. So maybe other codes don't work, but Ageless Runner will work to get you 10% off that RPM massager. And really the code works on anything. So you could order several products and get 10% off your whole order. Okay, so let's move on and talk about the two foot rollers. We have the Wheel XR and the Wheel Plus. And let me tell you how these are alike. They're both, you can see the same height. They're both 2 inches in diameter, and they both have a hard inner shell support in the inside that gives it some rigidity. And they both have a foam on the outside, but that's kind of where the similarities end. So let's just talk about these separately. The XR has the firmest foam. It's fairly firm. It's not as hard as the rollers on the RPM massager, but it is fairly firm. And it has these oval nodes on it that are separated by about 90 degrees. So you have a node roughly every 90 degrees as you rotate. And this is really meant, again, for the bottom of your foot. It's really good for heel pain. It's really good if you have plantar fasciitis or worry about getting plantar fasciitis. This is a roller you might want to think about. That firmness and those nodes really work those muscles. It's meant to mimic a thumb massage on the bottom of your foot. So these bumps on here are kind of like little thumbs to roll along your foot and work that plantar fascia muscle, work that muscle on the bottom of your foot, help with heel pain, and it's my favorite one. The second one is the Wheel Plus. Now this foam is just a little softer. It's still firm, but it's a little softer than the Wheel XR. And you see its pattern's a little different. It's got these two little peaks. Now this one's really meant to work the arch, help stretch the muscle in your arch, and work any arch pain you might have, fatigue you might have in your foot. Now this is the one, I wouldn't say it was painful for me, but it was kind of uncomfortable. I just found these two peaks kind of uncomfortable on my foot. Now I had my wife try these, and she was just the exact opposite. She found the XR with these two peaks to feel the best, and it did not bother her foot at all. In fact, she liked this one the best. She was less enamored with the Wheel XR. I like the Wheel XR. She liked the Wheel Plus. So this tells me two things. One is my wife and I aren't going to fight over these. And the second thing it teaches me is that I guess I have baby feet. I guess I have sensitive feet. So if you have sensitive feet, sensitive skin on your feet, the Wheel Plus, maybe you might not want to get that. It might be uncomfortable for your foot. But certainly the wheel XR works very good. I did not mind it. It worked very good. But again, we're all different. So you might want to get both. I think as I record this, I think the Wheel Plus is on sale right now, but it may not be when you watch this. But you can get both of them. They provide different benefits, slightly different benefits. They both work the bottom of your foot. One's firmer than the other. One works more of the heel. One works more of the arch. So give those your consideration. Now, all of these products, I think many of the products on the Chirp website are FSA and HSA eligible, which means you can use your health savings account money on them. And they all have a 1-year limited warranty. Now, if you want more information on both those topics, please go to the website. And again, I appreciate if you use that link in the description. That'll give me a little commission, help support what I do on the Ageless Runner. But again, use that coupon code. You can get 10% off your order. And that could be very helpful for you in making a purchase. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you watching the video. Again, take care of your feet, take care of your legs, treat them nice. I'll treat you nice. So again, thank you. Stay strong, stay healthy, and happy running.